Welcome back. Days after the release of Ratnam's movie Ponniyin Selvan that depicts the early life of Chola Emperor Raja Chola, a major controversy has erupted. First, it was National Award-winning film director Vettimaran who said that Raja Cholan was not a Hindu king and cinema has saffronized him. Now, veteran actor Kamal Haasan has also backed this statement after a special screening of this movie. Kamal said that during the time of Raja, the concept of the Hindu religion was non-existent and it was the term coined by the British for their convenience. The BJP took strong exception to this statement, saying that they pity Kamal Haasan for his views. This has also led to a massive debate over the issue itself. Was the Chola Empire primarily Hindu or not? For this, let's try and understand the term Hindu and its history first. Now, the term Hindu was primarily used by outsiders, foreigners west to us, to refer to Indians as per geography. Eventually, the term Hindu, though, began to denote religion, but also vast culture that was pertaining to India. Hinduism refers loosely to all Indic customs and beliefs, and those beliefs flow from Sanatan Dharma. And those customs and belief systems are the oldest amongst all faiths in the world. So technically one could argue the word Hindu didn't exist under the Cholas. Maybe it became popular only after the 16th century. But Cholas were indeed practitioners of Hinduism. Their faith, beliefs, practices, architecture, their temples are all symbolic of that. Jainism and Buddhism too, of Indic origin, were supported by the Chola kings. Queen Sembian Mahadevi initiated building of many temples. Remember, Raja I constructed the largest Hindu temple of that age. Cholas were Shaivites and had built several Shiva temples. But can one argue that Shiva worshipping is not of Hindu origin? That's really at the heart of this debate. Cholas, Hindu or not, can Sanatan Dharma, even Shiva worshipping, be differentiated from Hinduism, even if it's a word that came in vogue only recently?
எங்களுக்கு மதங்கள் வெவ்வேறு இருந்தது. அதையெல்லாம் 8ஆம் நூற்றாண்டில் ஆதிசங்கரங்கிறவர் ஷண்மத ஸ்தாபனம்னு பண்றாரு. இதெல்லாம் சரித்திரம். அந்த சரித்திரம்
Vettimaran or Kamal Haasan or Thirumavalavan says that Raja Cholan is not a Hindu, I can only pity them.
Let's go across to the guest joining us. Pradeep Chakravarti is an author and historian. Sriram Sheshadri is a political analyst. And Vikraman R is the VCK spokesperson. Incidentally, the statement was first made at a program hosted by the VCK. But I want to go across to the historian on the panel first. Pradeep Chakravarti, it can of course be argued that the term Hindu or Hinduism didn't exist to denote this Indic belief system. But is it splitting hairs to say that the Cholas were not Hindu at all?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. The Cholas were definitely very, very hardcore Hindus, and I'm going to come to that in a minute. I think let's deconstruct Mr. Kamala Hassan's argument, because that's the easier one. Yes, he is right. Hinduism is a word that came actually in the Mughal times and then to the British. But the mistake he makes in that statement is he connects Shaivism, Vaishnavism and Jainism. And that's a big mistake, because at that time in the Chola period and even before that and even after that, Hinduism, or what we call as Hinduism today, was not so much a religion, because the word religion comes to us from the West, from the Abrahamic tradition. We had the Nastika and the Astika schools. The Astikas were people who believed in the primacy of the Vedas and in the existence of God. So within the Astikas group, you had the Nyaya, the Vaiseshika, the Yoga, the Sankhya, the Vedanta, and the Mimamsa. When he talks about what Adi Shankara did, what Shankara did was only refine the Vedanta system. So it's a small part. So this was one set. The other set, Shaiva and Vaishnava, were part of the Vedanta sect. The other part was the Buddhists, the Jains, and the Charvakas, who were the atheists. So we had atheism in India a long time before people thought it came with the West.
Yes.
So in combining these two, Mr. Kamala Hassan makes a very big mistake, because at that time, the Astika school and the Nastika school were very, very different from each other. And why we shouldn't use the word religion here is because in the traditional Indian sense, I may not agree with you. I might be a Mimamsa or a Vedanta, I might be a Vaishnava, Shaiva, whatever it is. I may not agree with you, but I cannot question the validity of your school of belief. So you have the Astika schools and the Nastika schools. I cannot question the validity of your beliefs, which in the Abrahamic tradition is very different. There, if you have to be a part of the tradition, you have to believe in that one God, one prophet, and one holy book.
Yeah.
You don't have that. So I think Mr. Kamala Hassan's a definition of Hinduism coming from the British times, it's fairly accurate. Actually, it came from the Mughal period.
Yeah.
But in combining Vaishnavism, Shaivism, and Buddha and Jainism is very, very wrong, because there were two very distinct sects of the Astikas and the Nastikas.
You said that the Cholas were indeed hardcore Hindus. Would you want to elaborate on that before I go to our other guests?
Of course. I mean, my mind boggles on even where to start and how Mr. Vetrimaran got this idea. The Cholas, their tutelary deity was the Nataraja at Chidambaram. The two portraits that we have in the Brihadishwara temple that show Rajaraja, both of them show him paying obeisance to the image of Nataraja. Their coronation was done there. The land measure that Rajaraja used was named after Adavallam. Among the metallic images that were given to the temple, there are totally 66 of them. 23 of them are of Hindu gods. In fact, Pullayar or Ganesha seems to be his favorite. 2 of them are actually made out of gold. And at the end of it, the 66th image is actually given by his guru, and that's Guru Ishana Shiva Pandita, and the images of the guru himself.
Right.
And in fact, I would go one step further to say not only were the Cholas very, very deeply Shaivite, the two things. One is they did not allow that to come in the way of supporting and promoting other religions.
Right.
They have multiple inscriptions of Rajaraja, his sister Kundavai, his aunt Sembian Mahadevi, many other members of his court promoting Vishnu temples. In fact, one of them actually gives a large grant for a Vishnu temple in Tanjavur, which had a hospital attached to it as well.
Okay.
Rajendra Chola, his son, takes it even further. Very close to Chennai is Tirumukkudal, which had a large hospital, pharmacy, and an educational institution running. All of that was funded by the Chola kings.
But that doesn't take away from the fact that they were very, very much praying to Hindu deities. So Vikram, and I'm coming to you. Why this attempt to drive a wedge between Hinduism at large and Shaivism? Because that seems to be the attempt here. In fact, Vetrimaran has gone one step further to claim that our symbols are being snatched from us. Saffronizing Valuvar or calling Raja Cholan a Hindu king is constantly occurring. He takes this argument that Cholas were not Hindu to a separate level, suggesting that Hinduism is appropriating them. How can Hinduism appropriate somebody who was devoutly Hindu?
Okay, thank you for inviting me. See, this is a media manifested controversy out of nothing, actually. Director Vetrimaran had been stating the fact, which everybody knows here. See, my grandfather had the certificate, or in the registered learned certificate, we had been mentioned as Siva Madam, not Hindu, not Christian, Muslim, or whatever. This Hinduism or the Hindu name had been given to us by Britishers. That is a well-known fact. Even Adi Shankara in his Deivathin Kural, Adi Shankara, Shankaracharya has been saying that good that Britishers had appropriated all of these religions, the sect in Tamil Nadu. We had Saivism, we had Vainavism, we have Vainavam, we had Gaumaram, we had Sakyam, we had many other sects like this.
Fair enough, like, but don't they ultimately fall under the Sanatan Dharma umbrella? That's what we're debating. And I'm not going into the term or the origins of the term Hindu. I think we all accept that it is a more recent reference to Indians or those who practice Sanatan Dharma or Indic religions and culture. The question I'm asking you is, why this wedge that is being driven between Shaivism and Hinduism, and even going to the extent, as Vetrimaran did, that you are appropriating our symbols? Who is our here? Why this fight?
We Tamils. We Tamils are ours here. We Dravidians are ours here. We, the aboriginal tribes of this land are ours here. See, we are not talking talking of the wedge between Hinduism and Saivism. We are talking the difference between Tamil, the Dravidian culture, and the Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma, Dravidian culture had never preached Sanatan Dharma. In our Tirukural, which has been written by Thiruvalluvar like 2,000, 3,000 years ago, they have been saying Pirapokkum Ella Uyirkum, which means that everybody is equal by birth. Sanatan Dharma preached that. Sanatan Dharma says by birth, everybody is distinguished. Like one is above, one is below. One is born out of head, one is born out of legs.
Not
one
above and below. I think one could...
Once again, Shudra. But Tamil Tirukural says...
Sir, the larger argument I'm making, Vikram, and I accept there are various strands of Hinduism, various strands that have come in. Even religions like Jainism and Buddhism have eventually come from larger quote-unquote Hindu umbrella. My question is, how can you deny...
It is not. How could you appropriate that? How could you appropriate that?
No, one second. How can you deny that ultimately all of these Indic... Sir, one second, please listen to me.
Let me finish it.
How can you deny that ultimately all of these Indic faiths, you're praying to the same deities? How you may do it may differ. What your core beliefs and sets may be may differ from sect to sect. Ultimately, the larger philosophy is the same. You're praying to the same deities.
See, that is what we are saying. It has been put under one umbrella. Like in Constitution, it has been written like, those who are not Christians, those who are not Muslims, they are all put under Hindu. Like that, it has been put under one umbrella. What we are saying is we had our own religion, we had our own culture. And one more thing I'm saying, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has been quoting, I'm quoting Dr. B.R. Ambedkar here. He has been saying India's history is a war between Buddhism and Sanatan Dharma. It is a war between Buddhism and Sanatan Dharma. How could
not
you
all of India's history, surely. Come on.
B.R. Ambedkar has been saying that.
Sir, India's history is 6,000, 7,000, at least in terms of religion, that old. Buddhism is not that old. Let's not really overplay the Mr. Ambedkar statement.
How do you know that? Hinduism is just, Hindu is a term given by Britishers. It has come only
That's fair. Nobody is arguing that.
India.
Nobody is arguing against that. We understand that. But today we know what Hinduism represents. Before I go to Sriram Sheshadri, Pradeep, you wanted to come in? Pradeep,
with all these sects,
Buddhism and Jainism go by the same philosophic principles that we go.
Yeah.
They go to the Upanishads as well. They are the Nastika school because they don't believe in God. They don't believe in the primacy of the Vedas. The other Nastika schools, Vedanta, Mimamsa, Yoga, all of them, they all believe in the primacy of the Vedas, and they also quote the Upanishads. So the source texts are the same.
That's precisely what I'm saying. Ultimately, the fountainhead is the same. The core set of beliefs are the same. Your practice and your eventual strand may have differed. Sriram Sheshadri, the way I see it, is it also more political than anything else? Because Vetrimaran also said that, cinema is a means to get your political identity and cultural identity forward. Is this more a political fight, as Mr. Vikraman said, the Dravidian versus Hindu fight, the South versus North fight?
Versus Sanatan Dharma.
Okay, Dravidian versus Sanatan Dharma fight.
Hindu.
Fair enough.
Good evening, Shivani. 2 points I want to make it. First, let's talk about the Cholas, whether they were Hindus or not. So we all agree that there are Shan Matam, that is 6 sects of Hindu, current modern day, whatever the modern day Hinduism. This is a actually trivial argument that Hinduism is a name given, but all we are talking about Sanatan Dharma. The Cholas actually followed all the 6. They claim that they are the Surya Vanshis. They come from the Raghukulam, and then they even claim 38th king of their they are the descendants of Sri Rama. The second is they claim that they are that's a Surya Vanshi is a Shauram, which is one of the sect. The second is they claim that Vishnu was their first ever king, so which is they are Vaishnavites. They actually practice Shaivism. They built so many temples for Shiva. Even Rajaraja Chola is called the Shiva Pada Sekaran. So they are Shaivites. Their family deity is goddess Durga, so they are Shaktam. And their war cry is always Vetrivel Veeravel. So they have become to Kaumaram. And they started all their events or anything that they took an initiative, started with worshipping Lord Ganapati. So they are Ganapatyam. all the 6 sects of modern day Hinduism that we are calling, Cholas were actually living that on a day in and day out. So that is why I'm saying they are Hindus, apart from all other historic fact my esteemed colleague said. The second Vikraman started talking about is Sanatan Dharma discriminates by birth. That is the rubbish that they keep spreading in Tamil Nadu, that, the Sanatan Dharma discriminates by birth. It doesn't discriminate. It just only bifurcates by profession,
right,
that each one of you belong to certain parts of the Mahavishnu's body. That's all. It doesn't say one is lower, one is superior, one is inferior. I think that is the play, that political play that.
And what is written in Manusmriti? Why Brahmins were never put into manual scavenging?
Vikraman, Manusmriti belongs to
which? Not for dignified humans. Why
you went from the Vedas to Manusmriti? Very quickly, you've come down from Vedas to Manusmriti.
We moved beyond Manusmriti now.
It's also Veda.
This is the rubbish they keep spreading, that, it is the
Brahmin community will take up the manual scavenging job. I'm challenging Mr. Sriram.
Okay, Vikram, let him finish. Let Sriram finish. I have limited time. Yes, Sriram.
So
is this more political than anything else?
This is sheer political because, currently the Dravidian movement always said that they are not believers of God. Actually, they are not believers of Hindu faith, whereas the other faith they always respected. I think that is where, when Tamil Nadu for quite some time they actually bifurcated your spiritualism versus politics. Today they are moving towards, they are actually clubbing both. That is where people like Vikraman and his party and all these Dravidian movement are rattled by this movie, as well as calling Hindus or uniting of the Hindus. I think that is what is rattled by, they are rattled by about, and that is why they are trying to spread this malignity about the Sanatan Dharma.
I do thank all of our guests for joining us. I think all three have expressed yourself very, very. Yes, Pradeep, I have 10 seconds. You want to add something?
Okay, so Mr. Vikraman, I would love to hear why today Tamil is a classical language because of the Sangam poems and the epics. And by the way, out of the epics, none of them are Hindu. Well, Silapadikaram may be a little Hindu, but Jivaka Sintamani, Manimekle, Valayapati and Kundala Kesi are all Buddhist or Jain. Right? So today, if we have these, it is not because of a Jain or a Buddhist. It is because we had somebody like Ube Saminadayar, who was a very deeply devout Vedantic Brahmin. And thankfully, he didn't put that above his interest in Jainism and Buddhism. And if he had not done this, Tamil would not have even been a classical language today.
Fair enough, fair enough. I think two things are important. Possibly hair splitting of the worst kind going on in differentiating between what Cholas believed in and Hinduism of today. And secondly, when you claim appropriation of your icons, that's a very serious charge. And that should be substantiated with greater proof, not just with sentiments. I leave it at that. I do thank our guests for joining us, and we leave you